Hey everyone, this week I want to focus on the housing market. Housing has been in the news a lot, and for good reason. Home prices have surged dramatically. In just the first 4 months of 2022, the median home price increased by close to 7%. Compared to a year ago, the rise is close to 15%, and compared to April of 2020, median home prices are almost 38% higher. That's basically off the charts. And it's driving a variety of questions. Is this a bubble? Will it burst? What's it mean for homeownership and what's causing it? In addition to addressing these questions, I'll share what surging home prices mean for the apartment market. First, is this a bubble? I don't think so. Bubbles are generally driven by speculation, and in the case of the last housing bubble, very lax underwriting. A key factor that helped create the housing bubble leading up to the global financial crisis was the pace of construction. Between 2003 and 2010, 2.8 million more housing units were built than the number of households that were formed. There was a housing surplus, and eventually the easy underwriting and speculation forced prices to reset. Comparatively, since 2011, the US has produced fewer housing units, creating a housing shortage. We've effectively run out of available housing units, so it's very difficult to form new households now. That's creating pent-up demand. There's only a 2.1 month supply of houses on the market. In addition, apartment vacancy rates are at a record low 2.4%. As a result, although household formation should be surging, there aren't enough housing units to allow people to move out on their own. And that is driving the housing market. That's driving rising home prices and rents. The situation is very different than it was before the last housing bubble. Rather than an oversupply of housing with very loose underwriting, we have a housing shortage with generally sound underwriting. That tells me we are not in a housing bubble. But homeownership is moving out of the reach for many. From 2009 until 2015, about 50% of US households had sufficient income to qualify for the mortgage on a median-priced home. Then, as prices went up, that percentage shrunk. 2 years ago, households had to earn about $73,400 to qualify for a mortgage on a median-priced home. About 45% of US households could make that hurdle. In April this year, buyers needed over $113,100 of income to qualify for the mortgage on a median-priced home. Only about 26% of US households can qualify. As interest rates rise, that number will shrink. In January, the average 30-year mortgage rate was 3.45%. In April, it was about 4.98%, and in May, it's about 5.23%. And rates will continue to rise as the Fed battles inflation. Over the short term, until a lot more housing units are built and housing supply and demand move back toward balance, apartment demand will remain very strong. Apartment rents are much more affordable than home ownership right now. Currently, the average apartment rent is $638 lower than the payment on a median-priced home. So even though average apartment rents have gone up about 16% since 2020, or about 8% per year, that's less than half as fast as home payment increases. The pent-up demand for household formation, driven by the pandemic, demographics, and housing shortages will continue to keep apartment vacancy rates very low and push rents higher. That will continue to support the flow of capital into the apartment sector and drive aggressive bidding for properties despite rising interest rates. The housing supply shortage will remain a major consideration for investors who keep their eyes on the horizon.